Hi, welcome to Dorm Room Discussions. I'm Josh Greenberg. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the New York Mets. Yes, the Mets. The bumbling, the fumbling, the memeable New York Mets. For the past 2 decades, the Mets have been almost the laughingstock of Major League Baseball. They're constantly getting in their own way, making errors that are sent all over the internet. And it really doesn't help the fact that they are one of that they play in the media market capital of the world. But however, in the past few weeks and months, there's been a sort of change in the way the atmosphere looks, and that's what I'd like to talk to you about today. I'd like to talk to you about Fred and Jeff Wilpon, Steve Cohen, and the New York Mets. So, who are Fred and Jeff Wilpon? They were the previous owners of the Mets, and they had been the majority owner of them since 2002 through the present day, through a couple of weeks ago. And to put it lightly, they were not popular with the fan base. The there have been in addition they have run the team in my way like they were a team that played in Montana instead of a team that played in New York City. They were a they lost a ton of money in the late 2000s due to the collapse of the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. And that was really one of the first steps that said, yeah, this team is they're idiots. They're getting in the wrong way. And since then, in my opinion, the Wilpons started to run the team like they were a team, like a small market team. They were afraid to spend money. They were almost like they were more interested in turning a profit instead of actually putting out a winning baseball team. In the last 12 years under their organization, from 2008 through the present day, the Mets had 3 winning seasons. 2015 when they made it to the World Series but lost to the Royals. 2016 when they made it to the NL wildcard game, and 2018. And it just and even when they did spend money, it was through contracts that was very short-sighted and blew up in their faces. David Wright, who basically didn't play the last 5 years of the contract after his diagnosis with spinal stenosis, and Yoenis Cespedes. Those contracts totaled over $300 million, and the Mets didn't hand out another contract over $100 million. But beyond that, and then and so the Wilpons were just not. And so in addition, there were reports of the Wilpons being in the manager's office before and after games, saying this is how they wanted the team run, and so they were very micromanagement, and that did not help. And so what? But now, so after all those years of being the laughingstock of the league, now there's this change. Why is that? Well, it has to do with Steve Cohen. Cohen had been the owner of the Mets for years, and now he is the majority owner, owning over 95% of the team. And with all those things that that the Wilpons were, Cohen is not. Cohen has over $14 billion and is by far the wealthiest owner in the game. And he has said, and he said in his introduction press conference that the Mets are gonna play like a team that like they're in a major media market. They're gonna spend money. They're gonna go after the big name players, but they're not gonna act like drunken sailors. So those big name free agents, that it looks likely that in the next few years, the Mets are going to be courting them, unlike that the Wilpons were doing. And then he also said that yes, I'm a fan, but he only played Little League baseball. He doesn't understand what it takes for a Major League Baseball team to run. So he said, yes, there's going to be accountability, but I'm going to let the day-to-day processes be run by the actual people and the experts, and not him, which is a great sign for the Mets fans, because it shows that I'm going to steer the team away. This is going to be a new era of the Mets, and this is not going to be what the Wilpons were for 20 years. And so what does this mean actually for the Mets? Remember, this does not necessarily mean that this is going to usher in a new era and they're going to be winning the World Series for six straight years. No. Baseball's a fluky game. There's no guarantee that'll happen. And just because you get the biggest names and the biggest players doesn't mean that you're going to win the World Series. That's why the Angels haven't won the World Series at all. Because sure, they have Mike Trout, who's one of the best players of our generation, but he's only made the playoffs once, which is a disappointment, yes. So just because you have the biggest name player does not mean you're going to be the best player, the best team. And so it's not just about spending money. It's about how do you spend that money effectively and build a team that can compete. So instead of just splashing on JT Realmuto and all those other stars that are, Mets need to find play. They need to establish an identity and then get players who will fit to that identity, who will also help them win games. So what do I think the future will be for the Mets? I think it's bright. I think it's a bright future. The future it looks good, but this could, with one of the biggest media markets in the world, things can turn in an instant. And so fingers crossed, knock on wood, for the Mets that the future is good. This has been Dorm Room Discussions. I'm Joshua Gingrich. Have a good day.